This is Suburban On Air and Cohen in the City. Here is Mike Cohen.
It was the day that shook the world. September 11, 2001. The date that will forever be known as 9/11.
No, we have several situations going on here. It's escalating big time.
On that day, 19 men armed only with box cutters hijacked 4 fully fueled passenger jets and attacked America in its very heartland.
Well, I'm here with the stick, Johnny Reisler. We go back a long time, Johnny, and Johnny just wrote this amazing book, I Love a Good Party. Johnny, first of all, let me just tell you, what an amazing book. I couldn't put it down. It was an edge of your seat thriller. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I put a lot of heart and love into it, and I'm really hoping that it's going to reach a very wide audience.
So you approached me a few months ago. You brought me a special copy of the book that hadn't been even published yet. And you said to me, Mike, I want you to read this book. I don't want to talk to you until you've read the book. And it's about 9/11, but not the kind of 9/11 you think about. And it is really an incredible story. Why don't you share with viewers the premise?
The premise is it's a story of a man named David Stevens who dies on 9/11, is miraculously resuscitated out of the rubble, and tries to find his way back into the world of Wall Street, and has a very, very difficult time. As a matter of fact, things get worse for him after he survives 9/11, which is quite extraordinary, but in a sort of fun way.
Yes, so first off, Dave Stevens, the book does not go any way that I thought it would. Such original concepts, I won't ruin it for the potential reader. You just had a launch and the book is now out there available for purchase. But tell me, first of all, how did you come up with the idea to do something, first off, about 9/11, the terrorist attack day?
The story originally began as a journey through New York City. And at one point, I put the book down because I wasn't enjoying what I was writing. So I reflected back on it, and I added an element of the 9/11 tragedy. Because quite frankly, if you're 40 years old, what's your compass on 9/11? You remember leaving high school. If you're 30 years old, you remember being pulled out of kindergarten. And if you're, say, 20, 21, 22, like my son, you have absolutely no compass whatsoever on 9/11.
Yeah, right.
And that, I wanted to write a story that would give later millennials and Gen Z and generations Alpha especially going forward an understanding of what we all experienced that morning. For you and I, it's fresh as a daisy. We remember exactly where we were when the first plane hit and when the second plane hit. And yet my son, for him, 9/11 is like World War II. It's a black and white movie that's such distant history that I feel it's an important book for people to get a grasp on. But then again, I mean, you know, it's 18 to 88. It doesn't matter. And, you know, you're a great example. You read it, you couldn't put it down. And that was my purpose, to create something that'll get a compass for younger generations and for everybody to absolutely enjoy, and to get through Dave Stevens' trials and tribulations together with the reader. And I think we've accomplished that, and that's important.
Now, this is a make-believe story. It's not true. It isn't, like you said, a guy, he survives his life. When he finally recovers, he's never the same, but he runs into one disaster after another. So the concept, the storyline, Dave Stevens, is there a Dave Stevens out there? I know they're all make-believe. Like, what did you base that character on?
Ironically, Dave and most of the characters in the book are amalgamations. Every time I write a book and I create a character, the character ends up becoming one or two or three people all in one. Dave Stevens is similar to some friends that I have in New York City that actually received the email list and were able to access all the free events in New York City. I took that concept and I also built it around a lot of very, very special people in my life who I wanted to honor. So like I said, some of my friends and family might see a reflection of themselves in many of the characters, but the characters are actually very unique. It's a special feeling, you know, to be able to hear back from readers, and the readers tell me that they love certain characters. Like, example, there's a character named Zulu, who I'm sure you've grown quite fond of. There's a character named Gigi, who is David Stevens' neighbor. The book is a little...
And Chuckles the cat, because, you know, I'm a cat lover.
Right, of course. Chuckles is his only one true friend in New York City. You know, I mean, you're talking about a character who lost everybody who he knew and loved in New York City all in the span of an hour. So when the dust settled, he still had his cat, which is kind of cute. And of course, as you know, the cat is very loving.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So Dave Stevens goes through a lot of trials and tribulations, and first off, the whole concept of, I mean, we can give a little bit of away. Basically, he turns to sort of crime, you know, and this Zulu, who you say is kind of, close your eyes and think of Dennis Rodman, right?
Correct.
Okay, he's a transvestite.
Well, he's a part-time transvestite. He's a part-time octagon fighter. He's a ne'er-do-well who throws the very, very best underground parties in New York City, and Dave Stevens happens to find his way onto that party circuit.
Yeah.
And as you know, once he does, things go a little bit haywire, and that's a lot of fun. The book is actually a love story. It's actually my personal love letter to New York City. I've had quite a life down there as well, so I wanted to do something that would make people in New York City smile a little bit and have them stand up and cheer.
Yeah, so now this takes place, you know, over 20 years ago, so the BlackBerry plays a big role in this. We hear it. I was very nostalgic about the BlackBerry after I finished, kind of missed my BlackBerry after reading the book. Yeah,
well, you know, I mean, we wanted to make sure that the book was very authentic. We wanted the 18-month span from 9/11 until the end of 2003 to really shine. And one of the cornerstones of that is, in fact, Dave's BlackBerry. There's no secret to that. I mean, you know, it's a phone for its time, and it was the phone of choice at the time as well. So I thought that was important, that we, in terms of putting a time frame on things, that the BlackBerry should stand out a little bit.
How long did it take you to write this book?
I started this book, believe it or not, 8 years ago.
I believe it.
I wrote 42 pages and I put it down. And approximately a year and a half ago, in the midst of, or 2 years ago now, in the midst of COVID lockdowns and whatnot, I unearthed the 42 pages, and I kind of liked the concept, but there was so many things going around in my life that enriched this particular initial concept. So we started out with, you know, just a story about a guy who goes to free parties and gets free food, and it was fun, but it wasn't impactful. And slowly but surely, as I sat and rewrote it, I created the concept of David Stevens dying on 9/11, being resuscitated, and watching his new life just go in every possible direction you can imagine. And I really don't want to spoil it for you. Buy the book.
Yeah. So when I read the book, as I kept sitting at the edge of my seat, I thought, I could visualize what Dave Stevens looks like. This would make a great film, TV miniseries, Law and Order episode. Do you have any plans to try to pitch it?
As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who's a filmmaker. He's been asking me to deliver him something that he can really get his teeth into, and I've more or less done it now. But I'm open to discussing film options with just about anybody. The book speaks for itself. I don't want to flex my muscles. I don't want to try and oversell something. I mean, you've read the book, and I think that you know, you're not the first one to tell me that after they finished it that they wanted to see the movie. And my ultimate goal is to get this movie made. But firstly, once the story gets out, I think it'll facilitate that. So yeah, definitely want to see it on the silver screen one day.
And this book will be available, of course, books now with Amazon, they're available anywhere in the world. Would you like to see this book sell all over the world? Because everybody could relate to this book, everybody.
Initially here in Montreal, the book will be exclusively available at Bibliophile. I don't want to spread it out to...
On Queen Mary.
On Queen Mary Road. I don't want to spread it out to every major retailer because I think that Amazon is really the vehicle for books today. Mm-hmm. It'll be available on Amazon.com on the 4th of July. And yeah, I expect there to be a tremendous upsurge. Like I said, once the story gets out, there's no way you can walk away from it. It's just way too much fun.
All right, well, Johnny, congratulations. And of course, people could go to thesuburban.com and under the FYI section and look for my full review of the book. Good luck, Johnny, and see you in Hollywood.
Listen, I'm looking forward to it. We're actually working on a little sequel for it now. We have another book that's short stories that will be released in the fall for say, probably Thanksgiving. But we're expecting a lot of fireworks, and if we have fewer fireworks than what Dave went through, you know, I think we'll still have plenty.
All right. Well, Johnny Reisler has been my guest. Thank you very much, Johnny, and good luck.
Thank you.